Hi, my name is Leah Comiskey, and I'm from right outside Hershey, Pennsylvania. I wanted you to meet Mr. Binks. He is one of my cats. They call me the crazy cat lady because cats are my favorite animal, and I've had him for 10 years, and he's become one of my best buddies. So I just wanted you to meet him because he's a pretty big part of my life, and you're going to hear me talk about cats a lot. So I'm a dual elementary and special education major, and awesome. I love it. I was interested in many different course areas, but I pretty much solidified what I wanted to do like freshman year of high school because of the experience I had in my high school life skills classroom. But I am also interested in many different course areas, ranging from like anthropology all the way up to like between the arts and special education. So I pretty much dabble in a bunch of different areas. I've had two jobs, or actually two official jobs, but I worked at the Hershey Lodge. I've been there since I was 15. I've worked as a hostess, a bus girl, and now I currently waitress there in the summer times and on weekends sometimes. I'm currently a resident assistant at South Villages, and next year I'll be in East Villages, and I love it. It's a job that has always kept me on my toes, and it's been a really, really good learning experience. And it's something that has taught me to be more open and accepting of all different types of students. I was already open and accepting, but learning more through the trainings that I've had as an RA, it's helped me work with all different types of students and understand where they're coming from in their situations. I love to play piano, and I love to sing. You're going to hear me sing a lot, and I also like to dance. It's hard for me to sit still, and so music's one of my passions, and I also really like soccer. I've played since I was 5, and I currently play on the Millersville Women's Club team, so I play quite often. I also really like to draw and color and just hang out with my friends and hang out with my cats. That's pretty fun too. So that's what I like to do to relax. One of the main reasons I wanted to be a part of the Career and Life Studies program was actually Dr. Newville came and approached me about the job offering and asked me to apply. And he talked very highly of the program, so I figured, hey, why not? And I had already been friends with some of the students in the program, so I figured, why not give it a shot? Everyone knows Danny, obviously. He's the socialite of our campus, so it was really fun to become friends with him, and I figured why not get more involved into the program. One of the reasons I think I'd be a good coach or a mentor is just my experience in the special education field and just my outgoing personality in general. I'm very accepting and open to all different types of students and people from all different walks of life, and I can become friends with someone at like a train station. I'm very outgoing and talkative. When it comes to the processes when supporting a student, to get connected and form a relationship, that's one thing that one of my bosses, or my boss at school as a resident assistant, said is one of my biggest strengths. He says I have really strong relationships with my residents, and honestly I consider them as friends and they consider me as a friend, but they also understand like the RA resident, the line between us, and that I have to enforce rules when they need enforced, but they also know that I'm their friend and they can talk to me whenever. When it comes to struggling with interpersonal relationships, I'm very my interpersonal relationships are really strong, and I made some really good friends that have been my friends since the day I was born practically, and I'm very good at supporting my friends have always come to me for advice on their friendships or relationships, and I'm always that person that people have always come to talk about their problems, just to either vent or get some advice. Kind of, you just have to gauge what the person needs at the moment. When it comes to struggling with personal issues, a lot of the times I feel like people need just someone to listen. So I'm very good at just listening to people's problems and helping them work through them or give suggestions. Try not to give them too many suggestions because, again, it's their life. They're going to do what they want anyways. But, again, you try to, like, guide people to make the best decision as possible. When it comes to difficulties organizing day-to-day events and coursework, organization I'm pretty good with, but also that's something that like I feel like I would work really well with if I was paired with a student. I've gotten good at finally getting a planner and writing everything out and writing all my tests in and using checklists to check things off. So that's something that honestly we could sit down and just do together, and we could work on that together as well. When it comes to being a member of the learning community, I'm very open to learning. I learn new things every single day, especially in the special education field with things always changing. But honestly, the one thing that we always need to remember is that these students are people first, and their disabilities, honestly, to me, don't matter. They're just labels, which is my biggest pet peeve, is how we label people in society, and we determine their success on their labels. But I never look at a person and judge them by their labels. I look at their diagnosis last and view them as a person first. So that's one thing that I've gotten really good at over the years, and I attribute that to learning more in my courses and just having experiences with all different types of students. When it comes to supporting a student if they're having difficulties with an employer or supervisor, I've also been there, done that. You know, you're never going to always agree with your boss. There's going to be some times that you don't agree with them, but you need to learn to, if it is something serious and it needs to be said to them, that you need to come to them in a very professional manner, plan out what you say to them, and I could also help them guide them through that and make sure that they're being treated properly in the workplace, just like everyone has the right to. When it comes to advocacy, I'm a very outspoken person. I'm a very strong advocate for myself and my friends around me. I've had to advocate for myself many times. Actually, one time right now, I'm advocating for myself for this position. But one of the main times that I've had to advocate for myself was honestly getting into this program. I have always been a great student, and I remember I applied and I didn't get accepted, and I wasn't going to stop because special education has been my passion since my freshman year of high school, and I've known what I've wanted to do, and honestly, I couldn't see myself being in any other field. So I put in my application, and after a while, I didn't hear anything back, and I wasn't accepted into the education department. And they said it was because of my SAT scores. I only had a 990, and I needed 1,000, and that's when I worked really hard. I just went and I did retake the SATs, but then I went and talked to multiple people who had worked with me, and I had the teacher of the classroom that I volunteered in write a letter, and she sent me, she knew that I would excel in the field, and she was not okay with the fact that I wasn't into the program because she knew I could make a difference in special education. So she wrote a letter of recommendation and just kept I just kept having people advocate for me because I couldn't do too much for myself at that point because I had already submitted my application. And eventually, after the 3 letters of recommendation that I got from various teachers and one of the teachers that I helped with in her classroom, I was accepted into the program. When it comes to my process to support and advocate for students in the classroom for accommodations and modifications, I pride myself in the ability to advocate for students and what they need. Especially my time in the special ed classroom, the life skills classroom that I helped with back in my high school, I got to know the students on a really personal level, and that's really the level you need to truly advocate for what they need. Because if you're just looking at a student on the surface and you just look, oh, hey, they have autism, so they need this, this, and this, it's not going to be an accurate representation of the things that they need in the classroom. So as I became closer to the students, which again, when you become a teacher, like you eventually start knowing your students better, you get to become a stronger advocate for them. So through that time, I also learned that what each student needed, and I wasn't a teacher at that point, so I was just a volunteer in her classroom, but she honestly respected me as not only a student, but as like a person going into her field who was very passionate about it. And she always was very open to my suggestions. Like one of the students that I worked with, I noticed that we were working on times tables, and I noticed that she did better when she was walking around, and like, 'cause she had to count by her 2s and count by her 3s, and she did better when she was walking around. So we actually, each day at math time, we took the whole class out, and she was perfectly okay with it, and we would go and walk around the track, and we would say our times tables over and over again. And honestly, that is one area that I feel like I'm strong in, because I'm very outspoken and I'm not afraid to advocate for the students' needs, but in a professional manner as well. Well, I'm going to wrap up the video. Thank you for listening. I'm really excited to come in for an interview, hopefully, and meet some of the students and the prospective students for the program. Well, thank you very much.